Hey, Darren Criss.
Hey, what's up, man?
How's it going?
It's great. It's a beautiful day in New York. Good day for a walk.
Can I ask you a few questions?
No time like the present.
We'll start with some softballs. New York City or LA?
You know these aren't going to be quick answers, right? I'm lucky enough to get to say both at all times. I'm always sad to leave one, but happy to get to the other. In an endless loop that will never, ever end.
Musicals or plays?
Same thing. That's like New York, LA. They both have their advantages and disadvantages, their blessings and their curses. They all, honestly, they're composites for each other. When you ask me LA or New York, I should just said it's like plays or musicals to me. But the things that make them both beautiful are the things that connect them in my mind as the same things, which is, like the good storytelling, the good culture of both will always make them. Does that make sense? I'm talking about. It's hard. Don't make me compare those two things. They're too important in my life. My identity is split between plays and musicals and LA and New York City. Forever.
Okay, hopefully easier. Coffee or tea?
Also hard. My whole life I've been a tea drinker, and I famously amongst my friend group never drank coffee. And then somewhere around my 30s, I discovered espresso and went, oh, now I understand why the entire world is addicted to this.
Quaboon or Audrey 2?
Now that's an easy one. Quaboon. All day. It's not trying to kill you.
Blaine's hair gel or Oliver's hair gel?
I don't think Oliver has hair gel. I think that's just the way that the hair is like stitched into his robot skull. So I don't know if that's an or question. The question's invalid?
Guitar or piano?
I'm a guitar player that plays the piano like the guitar. I'm not a great pianist. I just button mash the piano like it's a guitar. I don't know how else to explain it. So guitar.
Backstage or onstage?
What show?
Maybe Happy Ending.
Ooh, on stage. I don't know. It's a pretty good backstage hang. Although I don't really get to enjoy it too much because I'm usually on stage. So we'll say on stage. When you say backstage or on stage, you're like, I don't know, am I in the show? Like backstage at SNL sounds pretty fun if I'm not working and I get to hang out backstage. So I guess it depends. Is it Beyonce backstage? Do I get to hang out with her? I don't know. There's a lot of nuance to these questions.
A lot of people might have first seen you as part of Star Kids' production of a Harry Potter musical at the University of Michigan, but when did you really begin performing?
That's an interesting question. I guess I didn't really know that I would be doing theater per se at an early age. The story that I always tell was how enamored I was with Robin Williams as a kid, and how I wanted to do whatever it was that he was doing. And by a lot of wonderful support and by the grace and sort of serendipity of people in my life, a lot of arrows were pointing to the Young Conservatory at the American Conservatory Theater, where I would sort of train and experience a life in the theater from a very early age until I went off to college. So because that institution was obviously about theater, that was kind of when I started quote unquote performing, but it was more about just being exposed to theater and theater history and theater productions and plays and musicals and just the whole ecosystem of what theater can be. But I guess I also really just, like a lot of kids, I liked animated musicals. And I grew up, I'm a kid of the 80s, I was born in the late 80s. So by the time the 90s are cooking hard, like that is what we now call the Disney Renaissance. So those movies were extraordinarily formative to my understanding of arts and my interest in them. So I would like dance around my room and like sing along to those tape cassettes for all the great ones, Little Mermaid, et cetera, et cetera. And so those are performances people would know, just jumping around, singing those things. And also just like, pretend playing guitar, even before I knew how to play guitar, in front of the mirror for every Beatles album that ever was at a very early age. So those are the non-ticketed events that you didn't see. Only I saw those. They were okay.
You worked in film, television, live theater, and the music industry. Which would you say fuels your fire the greatest?
I mean, it's kind of unfair, just because I'm doing it currently, but there's something like being in the theater. It's a live experience. It's transient. And you're in the most, I'm careful with this word, but like quote unquote control, in that, anything on film or TV, anything that's captured much like this ultimately gets curated in ways that you can only control so much of. It's edited, there's a lot of people involved, and that of course is a wonderful collaboration in its own right. But theater, at the end of the day, it's you, a room, in real time with an audience that is new every night. And so the way that is special and cathartic and unique each time, that's sort of an ancient magical experience that really can't be matched.
What's the biggest factor that draws you to a project? The role, the script, the team behind it?
It's a very delicate alchemy that changes every time. I mean, I would say the most sparkly bit would be the role, but if the role it isn't supported by a strong script or dramaturgy, or I don't know. It's tough to say, but it's the thing that waves its hand the highest. But then when you look at the rest of the body, it has to match the shininess of that hand.
So speaking of, what about Maybe Happy Ending initially piqued your interest?
That's easy. Michael Arden. Michael Arden has been a friend for a long time, and I've had the great joy of watching his yellow truck drive by. That was Michael Arden and his signature yellow truck. No, I've had the great joy of watching his career blossom as a director for the past many years, and he's been a friend that, in the back of my mind, I've always thought, it'd be so cool to work with him. And but that's like not why we're friends. But to have something pop up that would suit both of us, both professionally, personally, and have our schedules line up and everything, is something that I could have never architected myself. So I'm just so grateful to be doing something with Michael.
What does it feel like having your name on the marquee for originating a role on Broadway?
It's clearly I have no words. I'm speechless about it. It's something that you always, when I say you, I mean me, but that one as a performer, at least if you get to be on Broadway, kind of always hopes for, but I certainly never expected it. It was just somewhere in an abstract, on an abstract target somewhere in the ether. I was like, hopefully I can do that at some point. And then it just kind of came. Yeah, it means a great deal to me, especially because it's something that I care about so much and a show that I really love. And there's just the natural progression of how the show came to me is just so, I don't know, it's been so, for lack of a better word, organic. There's a gratitude that I'm just overwhelmed with to see that. And not for nothing, the last time that my name was in lights at the Belasco Theater was 10 years ago. And it was just me in a show that I loved. And that was just a dream come true moment, to be in Hedwig, which was such a formative piece of art to me as a teenager. So that was such a dream come true moment then. And I love that 10 years later, I now share the marquee with an underclassman, with the new guard. So I think there's a real poetry to that moment that I now, as time has moved on, I get to kind of share that with somebody who shares that sort of same excitement with me. It's an excellent sequel to that first moment.
What about telling this story through helperbots makes it easier to talk about human emotion?
Well, it's good storytelling. It's excellent dramaturgy. I think the best stories throughout all of storytelling, mythology, is displacing human experiences with non-human things, so we can lean in a little further. Aesop's fables, any culture's oral tradition usually consists of some kind of non-human element in order to explore very human things. If you tell a story about fantastical creatures or animals, it actually is an easier way for you to personify the human experience through their thing than just telling a story about two people. This is an ancient way of communicating our experience. So because it is 2025 and the idea of humanoid sentient robots and the idea of AI is no longer a fantastical science fiction concept, it was something that is a very real component of the way that we are now navigating our current life on this planet. I think it's a really great, modern, effective way to tell a fable of sorts.
You play Oliver in Maybe Happy Ending. How has your relationship with Oliver changed over time?
Oh man, I don't know. I think I only know that after perhaps my time with Oliver may come to a close, which is sad to even think about. But the ending's not the most important part, so I won't get too sad about it. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think I'm too close to the microscope right now to really know what the answer to that question may be. But it's less my relationship with Oliver, more my relationship to the story itself. You do 8 times a week. We just crossed over 200 performances of this thing. So I'm always finding new things every day, every time there's something new to be gleaned or discovered. And that is indicative of an excellently put together piece of theater where there's still more to explore. There's all these little diamonds under all these little rocks that I'm constantly finding. So I don't know if that changed my relationship with Oliver per se, but it definitely reinvigorates my interest in the world that he exists in.
If one song from Maybe Happy Ending was performed on Glee, which one would it be?
Probably one of Gil Brently's songs, because they can stand alone a little easier. I think there's so much context in some of the other Claire and Oliver songs that, like Sentimental Person, or if there was a character that, named Jenny that popped up, then probably that. Yeah, I'd say Gil Brently's song.
Does leading a show without the safety of a known IP backing it up feel vulnerable?
No. It felt, I'm saying using past tense because when we started it felt so exciting. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to do it. It's one of the things I've the greatest pride for doing this show is being part of something so singular and original. I mean, that's just so rare these days. And it is a bit of a quote unquote risk in that, there's a certain amount of unfamiliarity that people have with the idea, but that means that you have so much more to gain. I mean, the dividends on that are so much higher when people are dilated to a completely new experience. You're not encumbered by expectation or comparison. So you're actually freed in many ways to kind of do something completely new because the material is completely new. So no, it's wildly exciting. And to have people be receptive to it, that's just been such a gift and such a joy. And, that was never part of the itinerary. That was never guaranteed. So the fact that people have ended up responding to it in the way that I did when I read it on the page is encouraging.
What do you think the kid from a Harry Potter musical would think if he could see you performing in a new and completely original musical on Broadway?
I think he would be surprised to hear that he's doing a musical on Broadway. That was never something I thought I would be doing. I always studied theater as an actor, and I never thought I would be doing professional musical theater per se. I always liked it, but I never thought I would do it professionally at this level. So I would be surprised, but I'd be really pleased for the guy. I'd be like, wow, whatever happened between now and then must be fucking insane. And yeah, it has been. And has been just that. I gotta go. I'll see you at the Belasco Theater. Come check us out. Maybe Happy Ending. 8 shows a week.
Thanks, Darren.
See ya.